Welcome everyone to Gallery500's Emerging Artist Series. We're here with our next emerging artist, Katherine Knapik.
Yes, Knapik. Yeah, no, you got
it. So enjoy and learn a little bit more about her work. So Katherine, tell me about yourself. Your name, we already know that, but tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess so. I grew up in Titusville, Florida, about 45 minutes south of here, right by Kennedy Space Center. I am a Central Florida native, I would say. And I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design. I just graduated this March, summa cum laude.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And now I'm here. I'm doing big girl art. Right? Starting my professional career. I am really enjoying it so far, and I am super excited to be here. Yeah.
We're excited to have you. So tell me a little bit about your art, your media. What do you use?
Yeah, so I paint with watercolor and ink and gouache, which is like opaque watercolor. It's like a whole thing. It's got like talc and honey and stuff. Yeah. But I've been painting with watercolor for 12 years now.
Wow.
And I have always also done line art and drawings with ink on top of them. I think, and I didn't really realize this, I think until maybe a year or so ago. I think my work is really influenced by E.H. Shepard, who is the illustrator for the Winnie the Pooh books.
Yes.
And growing up, like Winnie the Pooh was my best friend. And I love that texture and the mark making of that. And so whenever I'm painting with watercolor, it feels naked until I then put more ink on top of it.
Yeah. So you kind of spoke about it, but why watercolor? You've obviously done many different medias, ink, pen, drawing, things like that. Why do you choose watercolor?
I think it is very fun.
Yeah.
I think there's something kind of exciting and magical about it. When I would say watercolor, working with it is less of you're controlling the medium, and I think of it as more of like a business negotiation. You're working with the paint rather than telling the paint what to do. And the longer you've been doing it, the only thing that changes is you get better at anticipating what the watercolor is going to do on its own.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something kind of fun about that. I have a really sort of anxious, neurotic personality, and I like watercolor because it sort of forces me to relax and let things just happen. And I think that is refreshing and relaxing, and I need that in my life.
So you have a variety of subjects, from landscapes to still lifes. What is your favorite?
My favorite is landscapes. I love, if I could just paint one thing for the rest of my life, it would be like cool alleyways with like overgrown leaves. Yes, fun angles, strong perspective. I think that there's something really exciting about that. And I think there's something really cool specifically about either natural landscapes with sort of urban elements or vice versa. I think there's something really cool about that intersection of nature with architecture. So I love like overgrown buildings and like pipes with cool vines growing around them.
Savannah was perfect for you then.
Yes.
Lots of inspiration.
Yes, so much cool overgrown stuff.
And your website says that you have a passion for making people stop and smell the roses. What do you mean by that?
Pardon me. I would say that my mission as an artist is I think there are lots of places that we go that we see everything and we say, that's kind of nice and that's scenic and pleasant, but we don't take a picture. We don't immortalize that. We just say, that's nice, and then go on our way. And I think that somebody should be there to document the cool, mundane places. I love just like the beautiful plants in our own backyard, or when you're driving down the road and you see these beautiful trees over the highway or over like a weird little scenic back road. I think that those are the kind of places where, especially when you're driving and there's that motion involved, you don't stop to look at those things. And I think those places deserve to be looked at just as much as everywhere else. say I'm terribly inspired by super early impressionists before they started to get a little too abstract.
Yeah.
I love like Manet, not Monet,
Manet.
but Manet. He's where there's a little bit, it's a little bit tighter. You can see a little bit. He's not really an impressionist, but the impressionists sort of claim him.
Yeah.
I love his work and that color and that texture, and I love that, especially with larger pieces. When you get closer and you see that it's just like little marks, I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I am glad that that is being seen in my work.
Good. It's my art history nerd always coming out and trying to find a placement with every artist. It's like, how do I compartmentalize this and understand it in a time period? Although it's contemporary art, there are no time periods, there are no names. People just make up names for their style.
Yeah.
And that's what they did back in the day too.
And they only come up with names for periods of art like way later. After the fact. All art was contemporary art when it was being made. So, you know, do with that what you will.
So what
I would say I characterize my artwork more with adjectives than like a title.
Yeah.
I think that it is fun. I think that it is whimsical. I think that it is, I don't know, kind of magical, but in a sort of peculiar, mundane way.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about one of my favorite pieces, your onion over here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So those onions, they're actually one of the first times I had ever experimented painting with gouache. I had just gotten a set of gouache paints, and I wanted to do something really exciting with it. And I got the paper. I purchased it from a friend of mine who, she is based out of Fort Lauderdale, I want to say. Her name is Carson Reeder. She is a fibers artist, also a SCAD student, really good person, good friend, sweet girl. And she made the paper by hand, handmade paper. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want some of that. It is very delicate. I wouldn't like recommend it for a lot of scrubbing with watercolor. Yeah. But it was really, really beautiful. And because gouache is so opaque, you don't need as many layers. So it was easier to put something more opaque on the paper because you weren't using as much water and as much paint.
The paper is part of the work as
absolutely.
Well. It gives it that element of the natural, and in my opinion, a similar texture of the onion as the paper.
Absolutely.
Like they coincide.
And I'll tell you what, the paper itself, there are some little flakes in the top corner of the paper that when I was looking at the paper, I was like, those look like onion skins. So that's where I got the idea for it. And I sent them to her and I was like, oh my gosh, here are my onions that I made on your paper. And she's like, oh my gosh, they're dried flowers, actually. She's like,
that's
I
so
totally
funny.
She's like, I totally see how you'd think they're onions though, because they have that sort of like those strings in like an onion skin.
I love it though.
Yes. And she's like, that's so fun though. And I still have like, I think I have like 10 more pieces of paper lying around. Nice. So maybe we'll see some more on that.
Yeah.
Maybe some more onions or maybe flowers.
Flowers, yeah. I know the onions are pretty good too though.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to get from viewing your work?
I want it to feel intimate and personal, and I want people to see my work and sort of empathize with it. I want them to feel the way that I felt when I was there and admiring the place and taking the picture.
You found something beautiful in it. You want them to see that beauty
yes,
as well.
Yeah. Or it's like there's a picture sort of behind you, that Taco Tuesday one. Yeah. That is it's a picture of my friend Julia.
I thought it was a self-portrait.
No, it's my friend Julia. I took the picture, the reference photo that I used. We were in a couple quarters ago when I was in college, we all had class on Tuesday evenings, and then we would walk down Broughton and we would go to this great restaurant called Tacos and Tequila. No, Tequila's Town, not to be confused with the other restaurants of very similar name. Mm-hmm. And we would always go. They had like $9 street tacos. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And this particular evening, it was sort of rainy outside, and the street light lamps were really cool, and the colors of the neon sign in the window were just really magical. And I wanted to immortalize that for both that memory and to remember that period of my life, but also because while it was very ordinary, it was one of the most beautiful sort of color compositions I have experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about your background.
Yeah.
So, SCAD,
Yes.
fine artist, visual artist,
Mhm.
entertainment designer. What does that mean?
Yeah, so my degree is in production design, which is incredibly broad. Production design encompasses lighting, costume, themed entertainment, but my concentration was set design. So I'm a set designer. And that means theater, it means TV and film, it means theme parks. And I have had some really cool opportunities at SCAD to do some set designs, and I think that works really well with my fine art because I love landscapes, I love environments, and designing those environments is not so different from designing beautiful compositions that depict those environments. I always say set design is just interior design plus storytelling. You're not just making a space that looks beautiful, you're making a space that says something about who is inhabiting that place.
When would you say you learned of your artistic ability or your passion for the arts?
Oh, I don't know. I think I've always sort of been a creative person. My parents say that I didn't get it from either of them, but I don't think that's true. My parents both used to be professional wedding photographers, and when I was a kid, my mom owned a custom frame shop and art gallery. Right? Right?
You didn't get it from us. But
I know. They're like, she doesn't get it from us. We don't know how she gets it. I'm like, are you sure?
Have you just
seen
involved
yourself?
in the art world for many years?
Yeah, as far as developing my skills and getting into watercolors specifically as a medium, I started taking classes in 5th grade at the North Brevard. It's now the North Brevard. Back then it was called the Titusville Art League. And if you are familiar with one of our previous emerging artists, Brandon Stanley, he is an excellent photographer, and his mother, Miss Valerie Stanley, she was my very first watercolor teacher, and it was definitely her helping me understand the medium. And then after, when I got into high school, I sort of was doing other things and was significantly more busy, so I couldn't really go to those outside of school lessons anymore. So I sort of just went off with it on my own, and that was a huge influence as far as having a good time doing that, and then realizing I could potentially make a career out of that. My biggest advice for young people my age or younger than I am, or people who are young artists who are maybe older but are just sort of starting their art journey, is the first thing is that you should absolutely immerse yourself as much as if it's something that you're serious about, you should immerse yourself in that world. I painted for years before I went to art school, and not everybody has to go to art school, but finding a community where you are surrounded by artists trying to push themselves to get better, I think absolutely made my work just explode. I think that having that, I don't want to say competition, but having people pushing you to get better does wonders for the level of work you produce, rather than just trying to do it by yourself like a hermit in your house and never telling anyone about your art. That's another thing that I would also say, is if it's something that you want to make your life, you have to tell people about it. You have to, I don't want to say you have to sell yourself, but you do. You can't. The thing is the reason that my theory as to why so many artists, their work is only appreciated after they're dead, is because they never left their houses. They sat like little hermits in their art studios and they made paintings all day long, and they never told anybody about it until they passed away. And it was like, look at this estate sale and look at these gigantic, gorgeous paintings. Like, it's not something that is going to be a sustainable business for you if you don't tell anybody that you're making the work that you're making. And I also think with that, another thing is follow the work of other artists and follow artists who are better than you. I know there can be, with a lot of artists, you take your work very personally, and there can be a lot of anxiety around feeling like you're not good enough or feeling like you're not making good enough work. And so the tendency is to close up, but also to the work of artists who you follow on Instagram or wherever, is to follow your peers or people whose art is not as good as yours, to make yourself feel better, to psychologically make you feel like you're the best artist of the people that you know. And that's not going to help your work. Finding artists whose work you admire, who are light years better than you, and seeing what it is you like about their work. Like, you are, what is it they say, that you become the people you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
So if you surround yourselves with artists who are so much better than you at what you want to do, that is also it's not going to have that effect of making you feel like you're not good enough. It's going to inspire you to work harder and make more beautiful, more exciting pieces of art.
What are you doing if you're not creating?
Yeah, if I am not creating, and I guess you mean like a spare time, like,
Yeah,
what are my
spare
hobbies?
time, yeah.
Sure, I am. So my degree is in set design. I am a theme park enthusiast. I love going to fun interactive spaces. I love Disney and Universal, and I love places where there are fake rocks. I love aquariums, and there are some good zoos. Most zoos kind of make me sad. I feel like not a lot of them have the budget to give the animals the quality of life they deserve, but the zoos that are really good are really good. And I love the cool fake rocks, and I love animals, and I have my own pets that I love to spend time with. I have a miniature schnauzer. She's lived with my family for 10 or 11 years now. She is a grumpy old lady, but I love her dearly. Her name is Chelsea, named after the British men's football club.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting.
Nope, my dad picked the name.
Okay.
And I have a hamster. Her name is Cornelia. I call her Nellie. She's my sweetest child ever.
Okay, so last question.
Okay.
Anything you want people to know, anything we haven't covered, or anything that you think people should know about you?
I don't know. I am, I don't know, I'm sort of an open book. I don't have like terrible secrets or anything. I think that art is, just a huge part of my life. I think that it is a great hobby and a great business thing, and it's definitely the biggest part of my life. I would say, I don't know, something, if we want to get like vulnerable for a second, I have fibromyalgia.
Oh.
Which is, it's partially, at least as far as the research that they know right now, the best way that we understand it is that it is partially like neurological and partially autoimmune.
Okay.
And that like maybe it is your immune system attacking your nervous system, which causes like chronic pain and fatigue and stuff. And I think that it's been something that I have been managing for probably like 3 years now.
Okay.
And I would say it's a physical disability, and obviously there are days where it is worse, but at least and my thoughts would be for people who maybe are in a similar situation, that you have like a physical disability or an ailment or something, that you are maybe, I don't want to say using it as an excuse to be like, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I'll do this when I get better. Especially for chronic conditions, there is no permanent, you'll get better. So you just have to do it. You just like finding it within yourself, and sort of knowing that maybe even if you are not in a situation where there's going to be a cure for your condition, that doesn't mean that you have to put your life on hold. And it doesn't mean that you can't do the things that you love, and that when you're having a really good day and you're feeling really well, that you can't go out there and make the most of it. And that those kinds of things, they definitely can hold you back if you let them, but you can also go and do awesome, amazing things, even if you are in a situation like that. So I guess that would be something.
Overcome challenges.
Absolutely.
And follow your passions.
Yeah. Do it anyway.
Yeah. So I lied. That was the second to last question.
Oh.
Last question. Where can people find your work?
Sure.
And do you do classes or anything? Can people learn from you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. So you can find my work here for the time being at Gallery500, as well as I am on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I don't have Twitter because I just would die if I was on Twitter. I would look at it all the time and I would cry.
Instagram is the visuil Twitter, though.
Honestly, yes. All the pictures, an awesome art communities there.
Yeah.
I am on Instagram and Facebook at Knapik Art, KNAPIKART. And I also sell my work online. I have an online store where you can get originals and prints. And I also do custom work. I do lots of commissions, and they're so much fun. And you can do them in custom sizes. I do digital media commissions as well as watercolor illustrations. And then, so this is all the fine art that I do. But I'm also a surface designer. And my minor is in concept design for animation and games, which is
everything. Renaissance woman.
Thank you. But it sort of falls under the illustration umbrella. And I also do pattern design for, you can get fabric and wallpaper and that kind of thing on Spoonflower is where that work is. But that's like full of other independent surface designers as well. So yeah, that's where you find me. That's what I'm doing. Woohoo!
I love it. So thank you, everyone, for enjoying this interview, this discussion, Merging Artists series. Come and check the exhibition out. She'll be on display through the month of June, but hopefully we'll have some pieces after that too. So come on and check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.